Good morning, everybody. Today we have with us Mr. Sachin LAWANDE, who is now an awardee for Kashinath Damodar Naik Pride of Goa Award. And this function is being held this evening, where he will be conferred the same award. And today we have with him right in this studio. And I would urge everyone to derive the maximum benefit with his interaction. So how I will quickly define a little bit, and then Sachin will take over. Sachin grew up in Goa. I mean, even till his undergraduate program, what we call in the US, he did his engineering, BE in engineering in Goa, and then went to the US. And ever since, he has been in the US. Now, when I am on the jury for selection of this award, and what actually drew me to look at the whole thing to confer this award on you was the fact that you are working in an area which is a growth area where we have a lot of, I would say, latent talent. I won't say that it is skilled, but given the right kind of inputs, we can have scaling up of these skills. So with this, I will just pose a few queries, and leave it to him to then share his views with this. So the first thing I want to talk about is your early career. And when I say early career, it means right from your school days, when you are at Auxilium. Incidentally, I stay very close to that Auxilium. And that's why I said, you studied at Auxilium, right up to the time you went to the US. And then define what were the motivators for you to move to that level.
Absolutely. First of all, Vijay Bath, thank you. Thank you, and to Gomantak TV for hosting me today and giving me an opportunity to share some of my views. Hopefully, some of my thoughts will reach the young audience that I hope is listening and paying attention. Because when I was to answer your question, growing up in Goa, and he went to school in Auxilium, we did not have the kind of role models, people that would guide us as to our career paths and options. Right. So it was more of a environment that facilitated a lot of independent thinking. One of the advantages we had back then was that we didn't have so much distraction of social media that I see kids today have to contend with. But we had a wonderful resource in Panjim called the Central Library. Oh. If I could just define one thing in terms of resource that helped me kind of get that escape velocity. You mentioned you are in the space industry, so I would use that term, right? So what enabled me to get that escape velocity was essentially the resource of Central Library and the amazing books that it had on offer. And I would devour those books. And while I was in Goa, growing up in Talegaon, back in the days, you can imagine what Talegaon and Goa was.
Yes, it was not what it is today.
It was not what it is today, and far, far away from where I eventually ended up. But even while I was growing up in Goa, I had a very global perspective, a global view, and that kind of helped me make that adjustment later on a little bit easier.
Okay, one small part that is left is, was there somebody who actually provided you an inspiration? Could be some of your close relations,
Absolutely.
Maybe your friends.
Absolutely.
How did it happen?
There were a couple that I can remember, but my first and most important inspiration, the source, and my role model was my father.
Oh.
And he was a very remarkable man, far, I would say, maybe a bit ahead of his time, somewhat of an iconoclast, not an orthodox type of a person. Very well read, exceptionally well read. We had lots of books around us, and gave us an unorthodox sort of an upbringing. We were left to our own quite a bit. Lots of discussions around dinner table about world affairs, debating communism, atheism, right? So growing up, I was an avowed atheist, not so anymore, so but things have changed. But all of these things were discussed around the dinner table. And he was also an entrepreneur, not necessarily a successful one, but an innovative one. He always had this drive to do something different. And I kind of grew up in his shadows, aspiring to be more like him. And that was the early childhood, Mantu. But like all of us, right, this reminds me of this saying by Mark Twain. He said, when I was 15, I was really struck by how little my father knew. But when I was 19, I was really surprised how much he had learned in 4 years. Right? So a little bit of that all of us go through with our parents in particular. And that was also the case in my case. And then there were, in the little village that we were growing up, two brothers, Borkar's brothers. Both went to do really well in studies. One went to IIT in Powai, the other went to VJTI. You can imagine, we had no idea what IIT was, but these were the first two kids out of that little place that had taken that big step.
You are talking about Borin, is it?
This is Taligaon Astana.
Te Taligaon rahtale.
And not too far from our place. And Mohan and Avdut Borkar. Still in touch with them. And they were the first one who kind of gave me the idea that was more to life than just what I saw around me.
Okay. So, just to add to that is, there is one concept I have carried, is the human potential is very large. And for last 40 years, I have been working with street children. In fact, one of them said, what do you want to do? He says, for starters, I want to become a chartered accountant. And he used to sell plastic bags in the Panji fish market, nusta bag. So I said, where do you study? He says, I don't go to school because my dad doesn't allow me. And so my wife used to work for this Kasturba National Trust. I mean, she was a volunteer and she was in a good position. And we had arranged to get, because of my EDC contacts, where I had a lot of goodwill, we had arranged in Taligaon a place for them, a shelter for people who did not want to leave at home. So we put him there. He did his 12th standard, and then I approached Srinivas Dempo and said, this guy, if you can just waive his fees, I will take care of everything else. And he agreed. So then I said, as I had shared with you, I am an investor, and I invested in a company called J.K. Shah Classes, which is #1 in India now for CA education. And I said, I will send you there. Yes, sir. He said, there is no need because this exam is not. I said, result is 1%. He said, that is exactly what I want to do in life, which less than 1% can do. And so I told my chartered accountant in the office that this boy may not get through, but you have to keep his inspiration going. He should not feel that he can't do it. And to my surprise, in 4 months, I got him a material from J.K. Shah Classes. This is all. And he came with pedas. And he said, sir, I have cleared the foundation course. Now, there were children of one of our another colleagues who could not get through despite all the resources behind it. So, I think passion is far more important. And in my own life, my understanding of IIT was different because my maternal uncle, who had no father, was the first Goan to have joined IIT. And when he started doing his undergrad, there were no IITs. So he went for MTech. So the point I was driving at, the human potential is very immense.
No, that is true everywhere. And I often say that talent, Devan universally distributed. It's as if first could nodela sagrek universal, right? But resources are not universally accessible.
Resources are concentrated.
Right? Exactly. So one of the things that we have done in business is we are all ultimately, in global business, we're all fighting for talent.
Correct.
People talk about what. The real war, when it comes to business, is for talent. And so what we have done is we have decided to go where the talent is.
Correct.
पयलींचो मॉडल कितें आसतालो की टॅलंट वूड कम टू वेर द कंपनीज वर कित्याक द रिसोर्स इन मोस्ट क्रिटिकल शॉर्ट सप्लाय वॉज कॅपिटल not human capital. If you notice now, since you have a finance background, all companies are swimming in cash. We all have excess cash. The same is true for Vistion, same is for my company, same is true for many of our peers. Cash is no longer the most critical resource. Human capital is. And that tends to be not concentrated in any one place. And it's not about making a lot of resources available to them. To your point, somehow 10% of the population will be driven.
Correct.
The remaining are going to be around, I mean, they have other priorities, right? So our job, I think, it is to find out that 10% across that segment of, broader segment of the population, not only in the more privileged ones, right? And make resources available to them. I think, you know, coming back to my story, I grew up in Goa, right? And I got great marks. You know how it is in Goa back then, maybe it is still the case today. Getting marks is more about applying yourself and being a good student. You need to, of course, have some drive and capability, but it doesn't really require problem solving skills.
Correct.
Right? So I got good grades, but I job back in those days, Goa, for sure, even India, I'm talking about 1988, right? The economy wasn't what it is today. So I had to think about doing something else. I mean, not just continue to do what I saw many others do, which is get an education, but do entirely different for their living.
Correct.
I wanted to see if I could be an engineer. It's like I come to like it. So I had to go abroad. And it was very hard. It was not easy. Unlike today, where there are plenty of resources. Imagine this is before the days of the email and the internet and so on. And once I got there, and this, I'll short circuit the whole sort of the story there, you know, in terms of what it took me to get there. But what was remarkable about US, and still is in many ways, it is a pure meritocracy. They don't really care where you come from, how you look, what you speak. If you can deliver, then absolutely everybody will make sure that you get your due. If you don't deliver, you're out tomorrow. Right? It's very digital in that sense, right? So there's no need for connections. There is no need for, you know, knowing somebody or belonging to a certain family. You can see the results today. I mean, if you look at US, when I became a CEO, that was in 2015, I was one of the outliers. Today, 10 years later, especially when it comes to Silicon Valley, there are plenty of Indian CEOs. Right now, not so many yet in the traditional industries like automotive, which is what I represent, right? And I'm sure there will be more as we go forward. And even India will come up as an automotive market in of itself. But coming back to then Goa, right? I started an office here. We now employ 120 young, fresh graduates, maybe 1 or 2 years of experience. And my experience has been that they have been remarkably good compared to many other parts of India. So again, proving the point that it's not like Goa has lack of talent, but there has been no initiative, right? And hopefully we will get something going here.
Okay, that's nice. I'm aware you have more than one centers, whatever kind of software centers or whatever.
Correct.
They do different things in Chennai, Bangalore, Pune. Recently, I read about your Calcutta venture.
Correct.
So, are you planning to do some kind of a collaborative exercise with the educational institution that even before they join you, they get prepared? Because what are the core skills required first to come to, let us say, we'll take a Goa center of yours, the core skills and coding skills or any other skills.
Aye.
And do we have them in abundance here? Or if not, can we do something? Because today I am well connected with the business environment, Goa Management Association, then we have CII, we have Goa Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Could we do as a collaborative exercise?
Very, very much so. I'll tell you what we have done so far, Ani. So when I first started, we had one office in India in 2015. I was a recent CEO at Vistion, had come from a different organization. And when I saw what they had in India, one office in Chennai, Tembi, and they had about 20 plus years of experience in India. So I was kind of struck by the fact that with all that experience and knowing what I know about India, to have just one office, that means what you're saying is with all the talent that's potentially available to you, you have decided to pick only one place and you just narrow it down to whatever you can get access to in one location, right? And that to Chennai, which is not a very cosmopolitan place that attracts people from all parts of India. No. So that was kind of an odd thing that I noticed. So I decided to change that. So started to open more offices with the philosophy that I should have a couple of like tier 1 city offices, but the vast majority should be tier 2 and then tier 3. Again, going back to the point about going to where the talent is, right? So we opened an office in Bangalore, then Pune, then followed up with Coimbatore, Trivandrum, right? Calcutta, Goa. So we started to open these offices, and then the realization was that the kids that we would get to join us, to your point, were not very well trained. So what has happened, and this is a point I hope at some point in the time in the future, it will change. Education is not yet delivering the kind of talent, especially in tier 2, tier 3 colleges or cities, the kind of talent that is readily employable. So what we decided to do was to put a program together where we would hire a bunch of like 500 students each year, put them in training for 1 year. I went and made a contract with one of the top programming experts in the country, who used to give classes even back when I was a student here. And to my surprise, no corporate had actually reached out to him. He was pleasantly surprised. So we brought him in to train the students, put video conferencing facilities everywhere and train them. Even that was not enough. So now what we have done, this is a program, by the way, you'll get a chuckle over this. I have actually gotten my inspiration from L&T. When I was in engineering, L&T used to have a program called L&T Scholar.
Correct, barabar.
The college in Vatale, and they would try to get kids to aspire to work for L&T, right? And so we have created a Vistion Scholar program, and we go out to multiple colleges, second year students, we engage with them. And for the deserving students, we give them a small internship and a scholarship, a small token paise detat, to encourage them to do more and to be more aware of what are the options and what are the kind of skills they need to develop. In fact, this year was the inauguration year of this new thing. We have reached out to about 10,000 students. And they're showing a great amount of interest. So something like this in Goa, we have also started to do. Now, Goa generates about 1,000 engineers. The biggest need are engineers, mostly electrical software, electronics software. We produce about 1,000. And yet, a lot of these are not as well trained. So we can certainly engage with colleges more. We'd be happy to do so and drive more sort of training and mentoring. I think some of this should even begin in high school. What I see over there, like with my kids, it starts in high school. And that's when they start to learn some of these things. In college, it only gets amplified. We can also do the same here.
Very nice. I think now the period that is left is, what do you see going ahead?
Now, so I think in terms of industry, so let me just share with you the space I work in. So work specifically in automotive, but mobility is the broader industry, not specifically restricted to four-wheeler cars, two-wheelers as commercial vehicles. Now it will also involve some level of aviation. But mobility it's a huge industry, right? It impacts, I would say, about 4 to 5% of the world's GDP. So in that sense, it's a huge generator of jobs, and there's no advanced economy that does not have a foundation of mobility and automotive as a bedrock of its industry. Now, if you look at the global car manufacturing industry, 90 million cars get built roughly each year, of which India, with all of the advances we made, is only 4 million. So barely 5% of the world's cars being manufactured are manufactured in India, when we represent a good, about tenth of the or greater of the world's population.
Yes.
Right.
1/8 of
1/8. Right. So we don't really represent well. And if you look at the penetration of cars per thousand, we are actually very low level. And mobility is a fundamental, I think, right that people expect. So what do I expect? India will be where the growth is going to occur. A big part of the reason why I'm here on this trip was to meet with some government officials in Delhi. We are actually doing one joint venture with a Chinese company in Tirupati, bringing some core technologies here. We're opening a second plant in Pune. We have one plant in Chennai, so opening a second one. So next year we'll make about 500 crores investment in India for 2026. One of the bigger investments that we are making. And we are doing this because we think 4 million to 8 million japak third way laksana in India. The government policies are very, I would say, well constructed after a long time. And I'm very bullish on India as a whole, which will also mean employment opportunities, career development opportunities, for people here. So my general outlook is very optimistic, and India will play a big role for us and for the global economy.
Any message for the young minds?
I'll start with saying, Ki, if I could do it, so can you. Right? There's absolutely nothing special. Very little of this was God-given. A lot of it came through hard work, but also very importantly, and this is probably the key part of the message, very importantly, you need mentors along the way. Without mentors, it's impossible to grow. The flip side of it is, unless you seek and you put in the effort, you will not find mentors. So it goes both ways. So I was very lucky that at every step of the way, I had mentors that at each point kind of held my hand and he raised me up a little bit. But it came about because I was very sincere in seeking that help. If you put in that effort, especially in today's times, you will find that there will be opportunities. So that's the key message I would like to leave, especially the young minds with.
Yeah. I just wish to share what I read in the book by Jeffrey Sachs. I follow him very closely. And there's a book called End to the Poverty. I think something of that kind. And he says every nation who has nothing today, has people who will need help to be put on the first step of a ladder.
Correct.
The moment they are on the first step, they are capable enough to then climb the steps. So I thought that was very relevant to the India. I worked in a school called Don Bosco College of Engineering, which is normally it was rated as the last preference. But what we did is I put a lack. So I said we had that in 2% of our profits. So I owned a company along with Shivanand Salgaonkar, who is a industrialist, and he has been my childhood friend. So he says, Vijay, I trust you. I said, whatever is 2%, let us not scatter it everywhere. Let us just go to one college and show that we can produce people who are much better. Now, 4 years we funded 18 children. The profile of each of these child was either they were single parent children, they had absolutely no money, they were doing part-time work at the petrol station, someone was doing carpentry. So we said, you concentrate on studies. And I used to meet them every second month. And at the end of the 4 years, we just concentrated on these 18 students. I call them as 18 jewels. And I put them on my YouTube as well. If you put Vijay, you get the whole interaction with them. And we had the best placement in Goa. Goa Engineering College could not match it. Padre Cossesson could not match it. And they are all working in companies like TCS. In engineering, they are working with this Varki or someone. Vari engineers. So in renewables, some people are working in logistics. So it's possible.
Very, very commendable. And I go back to my days when I distinctly remember Akravi Baravi in Dempe College. There were a couple of kids that were along with me that we used to study together, exceptionally bright, exceptionally bright, probably smarter than me. And somewhere along the way, they sort of fell off. I could even back then tell, though my circumstances weren't great, theirs were even worse. Right? And so that slight slip jata by somewhere along the way, they miss out, and then it's hard to catch up. If we could catch some of those kids, especially those that show a lot of latent potential, and much either help marathon at the right time could be all the difference.
So thank you so much for coming over here, spending some time with us, and more importantly, saying things which will, I'm sure, will inspire our younger generation, and our Gomantak channel would make it sure that they reach our students, and we should keep this interaction going. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, it's my pleasure and honor to do this, and in some ways, if I can give back, in whatever small manner, I would be more than happy to do it. Hopefully, this resonates with some people, and I'll be very happy to either come back or join in any way, shape, and form that I can contribute to some of the many things that I see happening here in Goa. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
हांव गोमंतक वाचतां. गोमंतकाची आक्रमक भुमिका गोंयकारपण राखपा खातीर हाचे खातीरूच गोमंतक वाचपाची गरज आहा. हांव वाचतां, तुमीय बी वाचात.